Hey, this is Sean Johnson with Cigar Conversations, and I'm here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at the Alec Bradley's office. Today, we're going to get a chance to sit with all three, Alan, Alec, and Bradley, and we're going to be talking about the black market. We're going to be talking about also the rare. These guys have made a name for themselves in the industry, and we're going to talk about their blend, the ups and downs, the FDA. That's a big elephant in the room that everyone has been dealing with. Let's see how they're handling it, how the transition is coming actually from Alan passing the reins on to his two sons, and see what they have in store, how they're going to go ahead and keep the name going, because these are big shoes to fill. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. Sean Johnson with Cigar Conversations.
My name is Seon Johnson, and I'm a cigar aficionado. I do cigar events in and around Atlanta's prestigious Buckhead. My clients and I have one thing in common. We love cigars. Join me as I meet and chat with true cigar lovers and discuss the life, luxury, lifestyle on Cigar Conversations.
Hey, this is Seon Johnson with Cigar Conversation. Thanks for joining me once again. I'm here at Alec Bradley, and I have the pleasure of having the entire family here. So please go and introduce yourself to those who don't know you.
My name is Alan Rubin. I'm the founder of Alec Bradley Cigars.
I'm Alec Rubin. I am his son and the Alec of Alec Bradley.
I am Bradley Rubin. I'm the better looking of the two sons, and
All right, let me ask you a question. What came first? How did you come up with the name, with the Alec Bradley? Because you started out in 95, 96?
Yeah, incorporated in 96.
Okay.
But it really didn't sell, I think, my first cigar to 1997, and really got into the first side of the premium business right at the very, very end of 1999, 2000. But so Alec and Bradley were young. They were 1 and 4 years old, and my dad, who is 90 years old and full of wisdom and business knowledge, he basically said to me, first thing was, if you start the name of a company, start it with the letter A, because it's at the front of the yellow pages.
I remember that one. Yes.
Right. So yeah, and I didn't want to do like AAA Aardvark cigars, so to be at the very
A+ cigars.
Right. And then also my dad, when I was a very young kid, when I was in grade school, I happened to see my dad's truck somewhere, from his company, and it had, even though it was a cabinet company called Cabio Cabinets, it said Gloria Allen Industries. And I was like 8 years old or something, and I looked up and I was like, what's Gloria Allen? And I went back and asked my dad that night, and I'm like, what is that? And he's like, oh, my partner and I, it's our two youngest kids, that Allen on the truck was you. And I never forgot that moment of like how proud I felt. You saw your name on this. So I just thought if I ever did something, good in the cigar business, and we had something sustainable and it'd have the kids' names on it, something they could be proud of, whether they wanted to get in the business or not. So,
No pressure.
Zero.
No pressure at all.
We're already here, so.
Yeah. So, I started the company. Like I said, they were babies, and said, hey, it makes sense. Kind of sounds like a designer, Alec Bradley.
Designer cigars.
That's it. So it was just this whole, everything felt right, and that was the reason to do it.
Now, one thing I want to ask you is, everybody goes through ups and downs, and we're going to touch on the elephant in the room for everybody in the industry in a minute. But how do you find yourself just dealing with the growth and just the dips? How do you write it out? You had the economy in 2009 when everything bottomed out. People weren't spending as much money as they should. How did you handle that?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of things I'm sure I'm not very good at. But the one thing I've done well is I've surrounded myself with good people. And people who care. People who didn't just make this a job, but made it a career. Act like it's theirs. And I think there's a lot of love and respect within the walls. And people that are part of our organization, even who have been part of our organization, who have moved on or done other things, whatever it may be. we're all kind of tight. So we've always helped each other, and in those lean times, that's really what's been I think the saving grace to the company was we never changed our philosophy of who we are, who we wanted to be, but we had people that cared enough to execute through those hard times. And I think that was a big part of it.
And I was speaking with you earlier, and you were mentioning even your sales guys. These are educated individuals, not individuals that usually you would find that went from a cigar shop into sales. So there is that, the higher education, smarts.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of our guys are very book smart and street smart, and we work with a great team. So it's definitely a pleasure to have these guys as part of our family.
Okay. And now the elephant, FDA.
Mm-hmm.
How are you? How is that affecting you guys? As far as preparation, because nothing has been laid out yet. How are you guys dealing with this? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, when it all hits, it's a stunning moment because we knew what we felt was coming. We didn't know to what level it was coming. I mean, they basically threw the book at us. But one of the things that we truly knew in our hearts is that a lot of the regulations that were going to be put into place had no real basis or merit behind it. There was no science. They kind of clumped everybody into just this giant tobacco category, no matter what you fell into, whether you were a mass market cigar, premium cigar, cigarette, chew, whatever it may have been. They just kind of put everyone in one piece, and we're not the same products. We're not
Totally
made the
not.
same. We don't act the same. We're not the same market. It's what we do is a handmade. We're basically fertilization away from being organic. I mean, it's really the leaves get dried. They get fermented. It's all with water. It's all and all of a sudden they're throwing us all in. So we knew that the basis for what the FDA was doing really had no merit for premium cigars in what we do. They just lumped us in. So we felt like we had, if we could get people to listen, that we had a case. And sure enough, politically, you looked at the Senate, you looked at the House, and all the people that we've talked to, and all the constituents, they started to get it. Like, hey, no one ever really told us that premium cigars were not other products. And nothing against the other products; they have their own benefits, their own issues, or whatever it may be.
Separated and treated differently, and looked at this is an industry. This is completely different from cigarettes.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing I'm hearing. Everyone is seeing that it's cigars, cigarettes. You're all one, and
we're not.
And that's not the case.
And every time we spoke to somebody, we'd speak to a congressman, we'd speak to a senator, and they started to actually listen to what we were saying. They'd go, yeah, I understand that. You're not the same, and you shouldn't be regulated the same. So we felt like we had some momentum, and we had people really understanding what we were saying. And then we started to come together more as an industry, which was really great. There's a few different organizations. Everyone kind of felt they had their own take on things and what their own agendas were. But what we found was that there was a lot of similarities in a couple of the, 2 out of the 3. And we were stronger together. And that has really been what's helped us move forward. And even this delay, the delay based on head of Health and Human Services and the FDA, that delay in certain regulations was they realized we don't have enough information. And so it wasn't they were siding with one over another. They just realized there's no way to actually implement stuff that we don't have science on. We don't have that. And so if it wasn't for the industries coming together, the organizations coming together,
right,
that wouldn't have happened. I mean, there are some retailers that sit on the board of our trade show in the industry, association, that have dedicated their last 3+ years of their lives to putting people together, getting the messaging out there, raising money to pay, for who we needed to, and in terms of attorneys and those type of things. And I mean, I give those guys so much credit, and because I have to tell you, this is honest, this is straight out. And I told you, we met briefly yesterday for a couple minutes, and I told you I was going to be completely transparent and honest. And I can tell you that if you looked at everybody making cigars in this industry, brand owners in this industry, 20% of the companies or less are paying 100% of the bills. And it's just inappropriate.
And that's surprising.
It's just inappropriate. So, there was a bill that came up for something through one of the organizations, 60 grand. 5 of us ended up, in addition to what we do, 5 of us split the bill.
Yeah, something has to change.
Something has to change, man. You can't be apathetic. This is our livelihood. And I've told everybody, it wasn't Alec Bradley that's fed up my family. It's been this industry
exactly
that has fed my family, and I'm willing to give back. And I sit on one of the boards, and I'm willing to do whatever I have to do and be part of that solution. But man, everyone's got to chip in. Everyone's got to be a part.
And part of what's going on with the FDA is one of the reasons why we were saying earlier that your contributions. I mean, the cigar industry has always, donated to the military. Right. That has also stopped. So, when you're in a stressful environment, I mean, we know why we smoke cigars. Is to celebrate, is to de-stress. For me, smoking a cigar is like a massage. So when the guys are over there and they have a moment, they want to go ahead and just relax and, if they can smoke a cigar, it's like, okay, that's my little oasis. And that has also stopped.
Well, I can tell you we would be a lot stronger as an industry if everybody who was a brand owner, every manufacturer, every leaf grower, every supplier of cigar rings, boxes, if they all put something in, we could get more momentum because we could touch more people, we can tell our story. But it's very difficult when all of that falls on such a small group.
Such a small group.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And, I hope that as you go through your process and everything that you're doing and wanting to talk to people, that this conversation comes up.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Within this industry, everybody knows everybody. Mm-hmm. So it's a good competition. Competition breeds growth. It keeps you going. Lets you try to stay on top. But I go to the event a couple weeks ago in Vegas, actually a couple months ago, and everybody knows everybody. That you leave your booth, you go say hi to Padron, you go say hi to Gurkha. Mm-hmm. So everybody has that relationship. Mm-hmm. So you would think it would be pretty easy, but it's not. I guess we just are gonna have to have a come to Jesus moment on that and see where we go from there. I mean, I know we can talk about this, for the next half an hour, but we just have to wait and see, what goes on.
Look, I'm very fortunate in a lot of respects, but the fact that Alec and Bradley are both sitting now on my side and want to be in this industry and want to see it continue for the next 20, 30 years, how do we keep this beautiful industry that we have, this product that we put out that people love and enjoy so much, how do we keep that going so that adults, which is all we sell to, so adults can take a little time, take an hour for themselves, enjoy life, whether it's with a group or by themselves, just finding that own meditative state that cigars provide you. How do they get the opportunity to be a part of that if everything looks like it's being trying to be taken away? So that's those are my concerns. That's a big part for me.
I don't see it happening. I know it's going to be a hell of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
The end user, myself, we're not going to give up that easily. You guys are supplying something for us that's been in ages. Everyone's been
more than 500
cigars.
years. Cigars have been
smoking cigars.
Right.
So whether it be someone celebrating a new job, a new baby, I want to unwind, whatever it is, it's something carved in history. It's not going away. I just hope they don't make it more difficult than it's supposed to be. It's fine. Everything needs regulation because everything is in moderation. Mm-hmm. Okay, everything is in moderation. You can drink too much water, and it affects you. But cigars.
But let me just say this too: the amount of water you drink is a personal choice you make. It's not being regulated by the government how much water you drink.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and actually, the alcohol you drink, right? It's supposed to be responsible with it. Do the right thing if you're going to enjoy that type of a product. But the amount you drink is not regulated. Of course, you can't get in and drive a car, do things that are foolish, hurt somebody. But those are personal choices. Those personal choices that affect you, the individual, should not be regulated by the government to tell you what that is. I mean, let me ask you a question. If you eat potato chips and you decide to eat one bag or two, the government should tell you the maximum you're allowed to eat is one bag? You could eat, right? You pay the price for eating 1 or 2 or 10. That's your choice.
That's my choice.
Right, so that should not be regulated by the government, and the truth is, this shouldn't either. Look, my kids did not smoke a single cigar till they were of legal age. They grew up around it, but they didn't smoke a cigar until they were of legal age because that's the right thing to do. And then they were never forced to try it. They were never forced to come into the business. These are choices that they've made. I mean, when you're talking about regulation, I understand certain regulation and certain things that other people could be affected. These are personal choices. When the government wants to come down next week and tell you, by the way, you cannot have more than 1.75 pounds of meat per week. Come on, I mean...
I'm going to start raising my own cows.
I'm just saying.
I'm going to start raising my own cows. Now, from your standpoint coming in, we have a lot of younger individuals smoking cigars. Before, I would say 20, 30 years ago, it would be 40, 50-year-old before we even start smoking cigars. Now, with the music industry, the entertainment industry in a whole, you guys coming in at such a young age, how do you see the transition, and what are you guys doing? Because you guys are actually helping out with social media and that sort.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
I've always grown up around the industry, and I've seen how, kind of business has been conducted. But now being in the company for about, 2 months, and with all the FDA regulations going on, I've seen, the struggle of, not just our company, but other companies having to deal with, these new regulations in place. And luckily, it got pushed back for a couple of years, but, that's only the beginning, There's still, a lot to do to help us get past this hump. And there's some political figures like, Marco Rubio, who, have gone out trying to support the industry, trying to help us get past this,
Now, as far as that goes, when, let's say we get past all that,
I think that the landscape is definitely changing when it comes to younger people coming in. I think that we're working on things now to kind of make different cigars for a younger generation, as well as continuing to work to maintain our current customers, and I think people seeing us coming in definitely lays the groundwork for younger people to not be as afraid to pick up a cigar. And as well as it being, generational, people's grandfathers smoked cigars, which led their fathers, and then they end up picking up cigars as well. That's another way that, I've seen that people of our generation kind of get into cigars and get into the industry.
So true. With the younger generation, I'm seeing, I would say, really the core, 27 to 30, they're getting into it because whether it be TV, they got a new job straight out of college, and they want to celebrate, and they try cigars, and they'll tend to go with what's popular. Okay, I hear that I saw a cigar in the movie. Is there something that you guys are doing, and opposed for anybody, something that you guys are doing as far as a new blend, catering to a younger generation? How do you even explain or educate these individuals coming in? How do you educate your reps to educate the younger generation coming in?
You guys can answer, but our company's getting younger. So a lot of our territory managers that are out on the road, they're all young guys. And they just know how to communicate. They're cool to hang out with.
Absolutely, a lot of them are about my age or just a little bit older. And when people our age go into cigar shops and they see our reps, there's an easy connection because not, someone that's a bit older talking to a younger guy. They're on the same level, they're on the same playing field, so they're able to spark a conversation, and there's a comfort level there.
It usually doesn't start with, when I was your age.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that I started smoking at your age. It's, I just started smoking, however many years ago, and there's that automatic connection. And that level of comfort that they get to interact with these younger guys coming in, starting to learn cigars, and I think that really, really helps.
Okay. Now, how many facings does your company, Alec Bradley, has?
Right now, we have I think 15 front marks in the different lines in the marketplace, and we span. We feel like we have something for every cigar enthusiast that's out there. Whether it's something a little heavier in style, maybe more traditional in its look, something lighter in style, something a little lower price. We also have some limited edition stuff that we do that's at a higher price range, but our finer rare here has 10 different tobaccos. It's only rolled by 2 people in our entire factory, so that's limited because they can only roll a certain amount of cigars per day, and we only entrust the 10 different tobaccos to be rolled by 1 pair. So we have stuff that's higher end, we have some stuff that's lower end, but when you were talking about the younger generations that are coming in, generally they're not the ones spending less money on a cigar. They're very experiential. They want to be a part of it. They want to know what it is that people are digging, and what are they experiencing that I want to see what that is. And so they're spending, these guys are spending $8, $10, $12 a cigar, and they'd rather have quality over quantity on some level, right? They would rather say, hey, instead of buying 2 for $10 that it may not be what I'm looking for, they take suggestions, they're online looking it up, they're asking people, and then they go and they'll say, hey, I'd rather spend a little more money and see what people are really talking about. Now,
with that, you just said you had 2 individuals that handle the fine rare.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're talking about your attention to detail, quality.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see yourself how difficult is that keeping that? You've made a name for yourself, so you don't want to go ahead and come out with a new blend that's just horrible.
We try not to. Not to.
How difficult is that? Because every time you put out a new blend, a new face in, what's the process as far as, okay, my name is behind this, you guys' name is behind this. What's the process? Because you just now have 2.
Sure, so we have 2 rollers that work on fine and rare, and that is to maintain the quality of it because it is a very difficult cigar to roll. But in terms of us blending for the marketplace and putting out new products, we don't blend for what we think other people will like. We blend for what we like and then hope that other people like it as well. So it's very easy in that sense in terms of blending, to put something out because we're blending for specifically what we like as a group, and we work as a group to figure out what that next cigar should be and what do we enjoy, since we all have very different palates, and then that's what goes into the marketplace, and that's what everyone's smoking. It's we're never just blending for our consumers, we're blending for ourselves first.
No, and let me say this too, I've always encouraged the boys since they started smoking, and again of legal age, but since they started smoking, to when you're going into a cigar shop, when you're going to a cigar bar, whatever it may be, buy other products. I don't think they need to continue to hone their palates, and they actually have good palates, and I trust a lot of what they say, but always smoke other people's stuff. One is, it's our hobby, and enjoy your hobby. And then on the other side is, you can't be a wine expert only drinking wine.
Right.
And so see what you like, see what turns you on, see what draws you to something, and would you go back to it? So on some level, I've kind of ruined it for them a little bit because they can't just get the pleasure out of smoking a cigar. They always have to do some level of analysis because it's what they do for a living now.
Correct.
So, I mean, right? He was out last night with some friends at a cigar bar, whatever, watching sports, and came back and told me about a cigar that he had smoked of another company, and told me what he liked and didn't like, and so he's all that knowledge. And then with that came some questions, right? So, and then we talked.
Of course.
So,
Okay, so let me ask you a question, and it's gonna be for all three. Out of all the facings, what's your favorite? If it's 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter because you might smoke a different one in the morning, different one in the afternoon. What's your favorite?
Well, my like go-to is actually this Coil Petit Lancero. Something that me and my brother definitely agree on is smoking smaller ring gauges. So that's definitely my go-to, and then my other two are probably Tempest Nicaragua and Family Blend Lineage, because they're all just filled with flavor, and like that's my thing. Is we watch a lot of Food Network, and Guy Fieri always says, you know, I want to take you to like Flavor Town, and that's what, you know, those cigars are to me, is filled with flavor.
For me, yeah, my brother's absolutely right. We prefer smaller ring gauges because, you know, the wrapper to binder and filler ratio on a smaller ring gauge cigar, you're going to have a lot more flavor. But when it comes to my favorite cigar from our lineup, I always answer this the same way, and it sounds like BS sometimes, but it's completely true. My favorite cigar is whatever I'm smoking in that moment, simply for the pure fact that I have the ability to kind of go, if there's a flavor I'm in the mood for, I can go back to the warehouse, I can grab that cigar, I can smoke it, and because I'm smoking exactly what I want in that moment,
Right.
it's my favorite cigar. So, are there some that I gravitate toward more than others? Some, yeah, mostly because of size or whatever it is, or I want that flavor more often. But generally, if there's something I'm in the mood for, I can have it. So I just go grab it, and that's exactly what I want in that moment.
All right, so you just gave me BS. What's the?
It's not BS at all.
no, it's really.
It's not BS at all. It's
No,
honestly true.
the
Just
funny
kidding,
thing
just
is I get where he's coming from, because, you know, on some level, it kind of talks to you. It's like if you're going to get lunch somewhere, there could be 20 options, but you're like, oh man, I'm really in the mood for, and you make that right hand turn and you're there, right? So it's kind of, I think, the same in what he's saying. It's like, oh, I'm thinking, man, I really want a Prensado this morning, or, you know, or this, you know, and then he can just go get it. You know, it's basically down Food Row if you're cigars.
Right.
We have the warehouse.
Based off what he's saying, if your favorite restaurant is a steak restaurant, and you know that's your absolute favorite restaurant, but you're heading out for breakfast that morning, you might not go be ready for a steak at that
A steak
time.
and eggs, yeah. You go like, well, you know what? I'm gonna go over here. Okay, yep, I agree. I agree. I'm just
You're playing with them.
What's your favorite? Or favorites?
Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe the Tempest Natural in a Lancero that we do, that we only have, you know, we don't make a lot of them. I always kind of like that cigar as a special cigar. I've been smoking a bunch of post embargoes. Recently, I just went back to smoking some Mundial Punta Lanza No. 5s. It's you know, what happens is, unfortunately, I tell the guys, hey, if you're coming to the house or you're coming home or whatever, bring some cigars with you, because I'm not filling my humidor. You know, hate to say it, but I'm just not good with that. You know, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden there's
like the humidor.
Well, he's also filling the humidor because him and his boys come over and they hang out and smoke cigars all night, and then I look and, you know, but so
you're saying if I come to your house, your humidor is freaking empty?
No,
because he fills it.
Yeah, because
now
it's being filled.
Okay.
I feel it.
But
I actually had to set it up for him because he actually had no humidor at his house for a long time.
Because I just bring cigars home when I wanted them, you know. I have plenty here. But
I had 4 of them, so I ended up emptying one out,
yeah.
putting it in a spot for him that would be absolutely perfect, and it's...
Well, I held the whiskey and he brought the cigars back to the house, so it worked.
Oh yeah, definitely a good balance.
But yeah, I mean, so, you know, like we just launched out the new Prensado Lost Art, and so I'm kind of heading there right now, and
got a great sweetness to it.
because what happens is, you know, when you're smoking a lot of your own product, when you come up with something new, it's got a different feel to it, you know. So now I really love the new Lost Art. So, and also, to be honest with you, as much as we do here in terms of our branded stuff, I love blending. I love the blending process. And so right now, we're in the middle of 3 blends right now. So normally, even in this situation, I'd be smoking one of the sample blends See, one of the things that we do, and I don't know what other companies do, but we don't create a name and then put a blend to it, because you're always chasing something. So for us, what we've done, and by the way, we've done that in the past, and it's failed many years ago. So we went away from that concept.
Or it's taken a long time.
Yeah, we have a great name.
name.
Let's come up with a cigar. Now we just keep blending and trying new stuff, and when something hits, and you know it hits because you want to go back to it. That's how you really know. And then I just let it speak to me, like, hey, how do we create something about this blend?
When you create a blend, what do you look for as far as, okay, I'm coming out, let's go ahead and do something. Do you say, okay, I'm going to do Nicaraguan from different regions, Nicaraguan with what do you call it, with let me see if I can pull something out, with
let me jump in. Let me give an example of something. So some years ago, I smoked some Panamanian tobacco, and I loved it because I thought it was a really unique flavor. So we spent, in the middle of all the other stuff we were doing, we spent a year and a half just playing with blends on Panamanian tobacco. It's like, I want to do something with it. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't as in always picking a region. What happens is, over the years, I've been doing this over 20 years, you start to learn what tobaccos work well together and what tobaccos fight each other. And so you start to get in your own mental notebook, hey, let's put these two regions together. And maybe we'll go a little higher on the plant. We'll use a little more Ligero or Viso or whatever. Or we'll drop down. You can add a little Seco, but you got to add Seco from this region. And you start to play because you start to know what some things that work well.
Exactly what I was trying to say. Yes.
But like I was just hyped up on this Panamanian tobacco, and like, let's just keep working it, and then all of a sudden something hits, and then that becomes the inspiration to bring out the line. Like, oh man, I love this cigar. What can we do with it? How do we get people to enjoy this thing? And all of a sudden names come and packaging ideas and all those things.
And what was that cigar?
The one with the Panamanian Black Market.
Black Market?
Yeah.
Now, how many times did you go in and revise that blend before you push it out?
Well, like I said, it was a year and a half that we were just playing. Now, here's the thing: Black Market was not even supposed to launch when it did. It wasn't even. It was just one of our trademarks, so it wasn't even something that was on the table to be made. But we'd made 18 blends, or like 18 iterations using Panamanian. The 6 weeks earlier when we were down, we came back, started smoking through it, and literally we were there to do everything else. Another line we were working on, get our watering in, check over all the tobaccos, doing the normal trip. And Ralph, who you met, we were down there, and even no matter what he's doing, no matter what I'm doing, we always are smoking the same blend at the same time. So that if he sees something he likes, or I see something I like, I don't then have to hand it to him. We're just always smoking. And I even say to him, are you done with that blend? It's not for me, but you find something on that you like. And if he says yes, I go back and I'll re-smoke it. So, we're always, and we got to, again, you're talking about almost 18 months later from the time we started playing with tobacco, we were smoking like the third blend out of 18. And he was doing something on the computer, whatever I was doing, and I turned to him, I'm like, what do you think of the cigar? He goes, I like it. I go, this is Black Market. He goes, come on, man, we're not even here for Black Market. It's not even in the thought process. I said, I didn't pick it. It told me, this is Black Market. This is what we've been waiting for. And then that night, up to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning with really bad cell service down in Central America, Wi-Fi was something new. I started emailing our creative guy, different boxes, different pictures. I just couldn't put my mind off of it. And then it ended up, being Black Market, which is our #1 volume product.
When you step away and hand the reins to these guys, what do you want your legacy to be?
I think we've built this company on honesty and integrity, doing the right thing.
Okay.
And all I really wanted to do, and I'm not ready to step away yet, even though they would probably prefer that I do. is to just give them the basis of understanding the importance of relationships and doing the right thing by those. You know, I've never equated success in money. I've always said success is the amount of great relationships you have on every level, personal and professional, and then money is the reward of those successes. You know, things just happen because they're supposed to. You build enough great relationships, the other stuff just comes. And I've always grown up with them wanting to understand that, and all I've done, hopefully, is create a base for them. And even when Alec has been with us
3 years?
3 years, and Bradley just a couple months, and when they were both here together, and I think, and I always told people that if they both came in the business, it was never pressured to, but if they both did, I thought they'd really work well together. And there's always a dynamic in family businesses and brothers having to communicate, and they're going to get mad at each other. It's okay, you know. And then they're, I'm sure, always mad at me for something that I said or did wrong, but that's cool. It's okay. It's business and family. We're dynamic.
Yes, definitely.
But one of the things that they know now very strongly is, because I ask them all, what is it that you want to do? So I've created this base. You know, I remember going out when I first started, seeing 20 accounts on a trip, on a sales trip, and being rejected 18 times. So now those numbers have changed some, but I remember going through that. And so they have a great base of people who really dig what we do, and people who are loyalists to our company, people who are advocates of Alec Bradley, you know, of our brand. Now I'm like, what do you guys want to do? Where do you want to take the company? What do you want the marketing to be? What do you want the product lines to be? What is it? What's in your heart? What makes you want to come up, you know, get up every morning and come here and be excited about that? And my job is to kind of help lead them and then get out of the way.
The cool thing is Bradley and I are very opposite in many, many ways, and I think that's why we have such a great relationship and can work well together. It's kind of always been that way since we were young, just very different personalities and, you know, taking care of one another, and I think that that's going to translate well into this business.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Now, going back to the younger generation that both of you are going to be taking care of, okay? Supplying to the masses as everything changes. You're in a position right now, Alan, where you can pass the reins. You don't have to learn what's going on. They know it. They live it.
Correct.
How do you guys feel about that? Because, like he said, the base is there. We've made a name. The momentum is going. I'm sure you guys have a lot of plans in the works. But how do you see yourself, say, 10, 20 years from now, as far as where Alec Bradley is going to be with the younger generation?
I mean, me and my brother have been working a lot together, you know, coming up with ideas on the course that we want to take the company in the future. And, you know, a lot of our demographic is an older crowd, so we're trying to tailor to, you know, the younger crowd, people our age. And I think by coming out with, you know, some weird lines and stuff like that, stuff that is different to the market, that we can pull in those younger smokers that, you know, they look at, you know, they see our traditional products and then they see the products that Alec and I are going to end up coming out with, which are a little bit, you know, against the grain.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I think what Brad said is absolutely right, but it's not that we're necessarily tailoring for the younger market. It's just Brad and my ideas are a little bit different than what he's done in the past. A little more modern, a little bit, you know, a little less traditional, a little funkier.
Yeah.
And I think that as we come out with different products that, you know, we collaborate on, that it will ultimately tailor to the younger generation.
It will speak to that younger audience. Yeah, right, Alec. I mean, I think that's right. I think their ideas from what we've just discussed, you know, what we've been discussing here, I think naturally, based on their age and their life experience, they're going to create products that represent them, which
their time,
and
right.
I think that will speak to a younger audience, a bit of a younger audience. But truth is, I would never do anything to alienate the people who currently believe in us and what we do.
Right.
So
those blends are going to always be there.
They can do what they want. It doesn't mean I'm not going to do what I want. So
not just that, but I spent a lot of time learning his process and his style and kind of in terms of blending and packaging. So I have enough of a base at this point to where, you know, I can continue to come out with those products because I have worked with him so closely on it, and continue, you know, with even the names, the packaging styles, the blend types. I can continue doing those types of things, but at the same time I have my own ideas as well as Brad has his own ideas, and working together to come out with something a little bit more funky, a little bit different. I think we can play on both realms very well.
I can't wait to see those packagings when they come out.
Let me say this too. I love those kind of alternate look feel products as well.
Right.
So I can actually come up with one and blame them. You know what I'm saying? It gives me an outlet to still want to be creative in my own way.
Well, when you push it out, just name it Alec. If it takes off, great. If it doesn't, hey, that was his blend.
So I mean, he came out with Black Market, which is definitely, you know, was very different for the time, and not just Black Market, but also things like that were in the past that we no longer make anymore, like Trilogy, which is very innovative for the time in the industry, where there's not a lot of innovation, coming out with a triangle press cigar. I think it was the first and only triangle press cigar on the market,
right.
And that was still very funky and innovative for its time. And you know, he definitely still loves that kind of stuff, even though he does a lot of still traditional.
How many people told you not to, don't do that?
Most everybody. Most everybody, and I said if it doesn't sell,
triangle cigar.
I said it doesn't roll off your hot tub. Tell you that.
I think his best successes have been the ones that people have told him not to do.
Correct. That's pretty much it. You know, we were one of the first companies to come out with all large ring gauge cigars with Max, and I sold them all for the same price, no matter what size they were. And someone asked me, like, how could you sell? You know, why are you selling these all for the same price? I'm like, because I can. He said, you want a 9-inch cigar, you know, 50 ring gauge, okay. You want a 60 by 6 3/8. You know, my tobacco costs, my labor, I can sell them all at the same price, and I did. And it put us, you know, it gave us a lot of momentum.
Yeah, to come out with big ring gauge cigars before the time that big ring gauge cigars were, you know, popular,
right,
was a risk, and that's one he was willing to take, and people gravitated toward it. I'm not saying that other people didn't come out with large ring gauges at that time, but it was definitely not that common.
Yeah. I mean, even on the triangle cigar, I just said if it doesn't sell, I'll just have like a triangular thing in my lips here from smoking 1,000 of them. But you know, it was like something to do, something to be different. And actually, that came off a business trip, and I was listening to some industry leaders, and they were kind of just helping me. You know, that's one thing. So one of the cool parts of this industry is, you know, I get calls once a week, or once every 2 weeks from competitors, basically, but friendly people. You know, we're all pretty friendly. Like, what do I do here, and how do I do this, and where am I having a problem, and hey, I'm sending you, I've already mailed them, I'm already shipping them to you, I need you to smoke these cigars, something's wrong on the flavor, can you break it down for me?
Gotcha.
And so I do it all the time.
You know, been in the industry this long, hands-on with the blend and everything, you have that palate to discern certain flavors.
I have my palate. I have my understanding of the tobaccos. Right. I mean, I have for 20 years that I've been going down to the factories and working with tobaccos. You have an understanding because you have palate recall of what those tobaccos bring, and that's stuff these guys are going to continue to learn in their careers. But so someone will say to me, "What's going on? Why am I not getting this?" And you know, they don't even ask. They're like, "I already sent it to you. It'll be there on Tuesday. Can you call me Tuesday afternoon and tell me what's going on?" And I'm happy to. And even other guys with having contract problems, and you know, I kind of become the big brother, and I'm happy to do it because even though I'm 20 years in, it wasn't that long ago that was me, and not a lot of people were helping me. Not a lot of people stepped up to help me, and I'm like, man, I don't want to see anyone go through that. So, you know, that's how I think that all comes back to.
The cool thing to me about this industry is, and with any industry that you're using, you know, your palate, is you're never done learning.
The moment you stop learning is the moment you die.
You know, it's funny. I've been flopping back and forth between. I mean, I like my BMW. I was in a Mercedes before this, but what happened was I had the large one, And then I said, I'm not ready to get old, so I got the 2-door. I got the little one, the little sports car. And I never drove it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, I want it. They called my buddy, and he had it delivered. And it got there, and I'm like, hey, where's the back half of that car?